What's up, traders? I'll be doing another backtesting session for you guys. In this session, I decided to cover the NAS 100s. I don't actually trade that myself. It's not in my portfolio, and I've actually never done proper backtests on it. It's going to be quite interesting. Period that I'm going to be covering is March of 2022. So I'm quite curious what we can expect here. I'll always be starting on the daily chart, then work my way down the 1 minute, sometimes the 15 minutes if I don't have a clear direction. And in this video, instead of 1% risk per trade, I'll be doing 2% risk per trade. And the goal here is to reach 10%. And as soon as I reach 10%, I will consider the backtesting session to be finalized and the trading month on this pair to be this assets to be completed. So first of all, I need to do some configurations. I need to visualize the sessions and also need to correct the time zone. So let me get started with that first. All right, I've got everything set up and we are right before the New York kill zone from 7 till 10 a.m., which is what I will be trading this month. And unfortunately, we had to skip through to the 2nd of March because the backtesting software actually put us, I think, somewhere over here where the New York session has already passed. So all right, looking at this chart, the daily chart here, I noticed that we tapped into a fair value gap. And after that tap, we proceeded going down again. Now my first target will be the low from yesterday, from the 1st of March. And then my second target will be the lows from 28th of February and the 25th of February. And then I suppose ultimately we will be targeting the sell side liquidity down here. That's going to be it probably for, I dare to say, this week. It's going to be the goal for this week of backtesting. Let's see what today gives us. All right, so looking at the 1 minute chart, what I immediately see is that we have two relative equal highs right here. We do have a buildup of liquidity under here in the form of one equal low, another equal low, and then this one that's setting up. So we might actually smash through that and potentially come back up to take out this liquidity before proceeding down. I will only be looking for shorts. As we can see, we actually took out quite a bit of liquidity here. Let me mark it out. We took this high, and this high right here. We now tap into a fair value gap. So if I do see market structure shift, I might actually go short here. All right, so we do get one. I will set my order. First target is going to be these equal lows that we had right here. We didn't really sweep it quite convincingly, so that's what I will be anticipating first. And then what I will try to go for is perhaps this big fair value gap that we have remaining. And this will be a second partial near these equal lows as well. All right, so placing the order for 2%. And of course, now I'm going to be removing the order. We did not get filled, unfortunately, but the direction we had in mind was correct. Now it seems like we take some more liquidity in the form of equal highs. I want to see quite a bit more of a convincing move, probably also taking this high out before I actually start considering shorts. And unfortunately, the biggest move already happened. All right, so I do like this price action. We actually almost step into this fair value gap, into respecting the order block. Now I will place an entry right here and will actually be targeting the low. I suspect that this trade could potentially play out. So risking 2%, and there we go. We are up 3.4% already. So that was a clean trade. The reasoning behind this trade is that I noticed that we actually respected the order block. So we could assume that the overall direction we had in mind was probably correct. We moved down with displacement. Then, as we can see, we formed a fair value gap where I set the order on. I noticed that we had an order block right here, and that's where I covered my stop. And then my target were the equal lows that we have right here. And the delivery was really clean. I could have probably targeted the London lows. We'll see what happens here. I'm quite satisfied with this profit that I just took. All right, so I'm quite happy that I actually closed my full position there because as you can see, we would have been tagged out of it. So moving on to the next day. So looking at the daily, I still have the same bias in mind. I do see that this candle is tending to go back up to that fair value gap. So what I will be doing is marking out this high and anticipating that if we break that high, we're probably going to pull further back into that fair value gap, possibly in the order block before actually going down. So before that, if we do sweep liquidity and I see a decent bit of displacement, I will still be looking for short. If we actually break this high and don't show displacement to the downside, I will not be looking for shorts. And I will be sitting on my hands for this day. All right, so this is the start of New York. What I can immediately see is that we have some relative equal lows on the downside here, which is really good. That means that I have a clear target in mind for internal liquidity. I actually seem to sweep the high of both London and the pre-New York session, so that's good. Now we actually have a fair amount of displacement, and I would consider this as a market structure shift. So I will be looking for shorts. And as for my target, I will be looking for these equal lows to go, or 2.5R. And as we can see, this trade did not really play out. We started to pull down. We actually took some liquidity here. then decided to completely reverse. And because we took out equal highs, I'm actually considering a possible re-entry with the same target in mind. And as you can see, my prediction was actually right. Price decided to go up to that previous day's high and is now starting to fill up the fair value gap. So I will be stopping trading today. I'll move on to the next day and see what the next day of price action gives us. Today actually already smashed our two targets for the sell side liquidity during London. That's unfortunate, but I do think that we will see a move further down. We could perhaps see some kind of pullback. But as for my target, I will still be aiming for the low that we created today. All right, so New York is about to start. And what I immediately noticed is that we took out a bunch of buy side liquidity and also tapped into a fair value gap. We broke market structure. And I think this amount is going to be enough of displacement for me to actually throw an order on. I don't suspect New York to be taking out the liquidity up here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set an order short and I will be targeting the London low for 1.8R. Might actually go up, scale my trade up to this fair value gap and hope that this fair value gap also gets filled. As we can see, we are running in profits. What I'm going to do now is actually move my stop loss to right above this order block. If we do reverse, we will still have some. And as you can see, price decided to actually tap us out near this order block. I should have probably gone for partials at this point right here or at this candle close. You also make mistakes in the live trading environment, right? So let's let this one slide. And as you can see, eventually we would have actually been filled, could have achieved 2.7R. Right now we actually took out that London low, so I'm quite interested in probably taking a long here because we at that candle open we didn't really have a top wick, so I do suspect price to be pulling back very soon. So I'm hoping to see a market structure shift right here for a potential long entry. We do actually get that market structure shift, but I would like to see one of my point of interests, fair value gaps, being filled at downside here, which is probably going to be this one. And then I will be covering the low. My target will be this swing high that we created, and I will take a partial near these equal highs that we have, which was our initial sweep. All right, so we didn't get filled, and then price actually started to move in our direction. So again, the direction was right. We didn't get filled. That's unfortunate. Now we actually swept a bunch of buy side liquidity. We also tapped into a big fair value gap right here. It does wake up my interest. I would like to see some sort of market structure shift, breaking this little order block, and then I will be interested in taking shorts. I'm actually quite liking this bit of price action. I will be taking a short here, covering this high, this order block. And as for my target, I'll be targeting low from New York. And as we can see, we actually took out some liquidity here in the form of equal lows. So what I'll be doing is I'll be closing 50% of my position. I will also move my stop to just above this order block and let the rest run. Right, so what we can see is that price decided not to actually go to our liquidity target, but decided to bounce off of this, which is likely to be an order block. Still managed to secure some profits, currently at 4.7%. What we do have now is we are in a premium zone. I know I took a lot of trades today, but I just like price action, creating a bunch of equal highs and lows. Right now we also have relative equal lows here for New York. Let me actually remove these positions real quick. And what I'd like to see is some sort of structure form, and if it's before 10 a.m. I can still take a trade targeting these. Right, so we do have some structure formed and we have a fair value gap. It seems like price is going to cleanly deliver downwards, and we didn't actually get a proper entry opportunity. We could have entered somewhere over here. We would have had to cover quite a bit, and that would just not be a positive RR trade, which I don't like. But again, we had the direction right, so that's fun to see. Now I don't expect any setups anymore before 10. If we do, I'm not going to be interested in them. I'm going to move on to the next day. All right, looking at the daily here, this is a Monday. We opened up with quite a gap. What I'm anticipating is that we will first be filling up that gap before then moving down. So my first target will be actually almost New York session. And it seems like price is already starting to head there after taking out this liquidity from London. And now it looks like we are going to have a clean delivery. As we can see, we filled up that gap. So my prediction was right. What I'll be targeting now are these equal lows probably if we do see clean market structure shift. I don't consider these lows here as clean market structure. I'd like to see something clean formed before I actually take an entry. All right, so now something clean formed. I do see a decent low here. These were equal lows. This could be a sweep, but I don't suspect this to be one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to smack on a short, enter right here, over this high, and I'll be targeting these equal lows right here, setting up 2%. And we actually get stopped out, which is quite okay. So this was in fact a sweep. All right, so nothing interesting was really happening here. And then I looked, because of my previous trade, I went ahead and looked at the daily chart and I noticed that we didn't actually fill up gap right here. The line that I drew was the start of it. So that was my bad. I thought we filled it up, and that's why I wanted to take a short. Now we actually did fill it up. And as you can see, we have a clean market structure shift with some really clean displacement. This to me is the signature of the algo. So I'll be taking a short here from this fair value gap. And I'm still going to be targeting those lows that we created during London. And I'm of course going to be taking partials. I think my first partial will be somewhere over here, but I will be managing my position on the way. All right, so we are filled right here. Price is running, and we actually tapped into our first. Oh no, that's not a partial. I'm drawing too many lines right here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take a partial right here. Why? We just created a clean order block here, and I do suspect price is going to be pulling back this fair value gap right here before going further down, and I do want to secure some profits before we actually start pulling back. So that's going to be 50% off, and I'm also going to be managing my position a little bit above that fair value gap that we should be filling right here. My next partial target is probably, I'm not going to take any more partials, I think. And as you can see, this was basically a clean delivery to my target, which was clean liquidity. And we actually made that 10% mark that we set. So it was unfortunate for this trade. But yeah, managed to catch this 6.5 hour trade. This backtesting session was a lot shorter than the previous one, but I hope you still found some value in this. All right, so if we take a look at the dashboard, we can see that we made a total of 11.68%. We had a win rate of about 70%, which is a good and a high win rate. 67% actually leans onto one of my best models. My best models has a win rate of around 70%, mainly because I trade the 1 minute, and the win rates are obviously lower there, as you are much more likely to be targeted by certain fluctuations and just a lot more sensitive to harsh moves. But overall, this backtesting session was really nice. We took a total of 6 trades. We only traded for 7 days, which is also really cool. As you can see, our average RR is 2.6%. I try to aim for at least 2 to 2.5% risk to reward at least. All right, that was it. That will conclude this backtesting session. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like. Comment would also be appreciated, and a subscribe would even be more appreciated. If you guys are interested, I do have a Discord server with a lot of like-minded ICT and SMC traders. I also do daily analysis there, and overall we have some really cool members. So if you're interested in something like that, feel free to join. The link will be down in the description. And other than that, guys, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.